You want to get on the action? We want to hear from you. Hit us up, faderoutemail@gmail.com. Slide in our DMs on IG @FadeRoutePodcast. Drop us a DM on Twitter @FadeRouteDNZ. Comment on our YouTube channel, The Fade Route with DNZ. Questions, comments, picks, segment suggestions, you name it, we want to hear from you. Get at us, in crowd. It's the In Route, where friends of the show get a special segment with us. Want to be part of the action? Want to be the newest member of the In Crowd? You know what to do. Hit us up, faderoutemail@gmail.com, or slide in those DMs on Fade Route Podcast on IG, or hit that Twitter, FadeRouteDNZ.
Joining us on the In Route today, we have the Tubby Hooks, Danny Butler. Thanks for joining us today, Danny.
Thank you so much, guys. Thanks for having me back. I appreciate it.
What's up, Danny?
Well, listen, you requested this time to vent on the Yankees' last place campaign. The floor is yours, my friend.
Well, it's not the floor. We're below the floor. We're in the basement, which hasn't happened since like the Stump Merrill years when we were kids. We're 500 this late in the season for the first time since 1995. She got hot. Won like 18 out of the last 21 and wanted to make it in the playoffs, but that was a different team. This ain't happening. I mean, I can't remember a more disappointing year. They're lifeless. They're lethargic. They're hard to watch. They're anemic, especially without Judge. The offense is anemic. The pitching is a disaster. I mean, you guys like Severino. They keep on trotting him out there. Oh, he's a starter. We'll have an opener. It's just. And it's like they don't care. It's like we know Hal doesn't care. He's making his money. Cashman just wants to stick to his guns to prove he's right. Right about what? I don't know what. And Boone is like a Pollyanna. Everything's okay.
We're fighting. We're fighting. Right? That's what he loves to say at the press conference.
Sevy had some stuff last night. He had...
Yeah. He threw a couple strikes. Some of them didn't end up, in the outfield bleachers. He too. That's a good thing, right? It's like someone told him the other day that I think we lead the league in double plays. He says, "Well, you have to get on base to get to double plays." It's like I don't even. I've never been a Boone fan, but at this point, I don't even blame him anymore because, like, what's he gonna do? I mean, he makes some bad moves in the bullpen, but when he rests guys after they're hot for a couple of days, that's not coming from him. That's coming from Cashman and all the analytic nerds up in the front office. Like, it's just and Boone shows some fight. In terms of the umpires hate him. They call him Karen Boone because he doesn't stop arguing. and like the other day with Lance Diaz and a couple before when he got ejected, the umpires are bad. The calls he got thrown out on were the right calls, actually. It was one of the few the umpires got right, and he just makes an ass out of himself.
I just was stunned that Hal came out and said that Cashman is safe, but he's unsure about Boone. I don't know how Cashman could be safe after they're going to finish in last place. At least that's what it looks like right now.
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe it either. And even if you're Hal and you know that you don't want to make a move, why come out and say it?
Yeah,
At least maybe it lights a fire into Cashman to try to change things up. Cashman when he his first couple years at the Yankees and we were winning championships and everything, but when George was still alive and very much in the picture, George had two camps. It was Cashman and his guys, and then George had his Tampa cronies that he listened to, and probably too much sometimes. So Cashman didn't have the power he probably should have. But now since George is gone, he has power unchecked. He's like Napoleon. Like no one, he just does whatever he wants, and nobody, makes the same mistakes over and over again, and nobody calls him on it because because Hal says he's safe. So there's no reason to change things. We went into this year. All right, Jose Trevino had a good season last year. It was a career year. But the last 2 months of the year, he was back to being a backup catcher. Higashioka is a nice player. He's a backup catcher. We didn't have a left fielder. So you went into, and pretty much you knew DJ was done. Rizzo, the way they handled Rizzo this year, we all knew he hurt his neck or a concussion with the San Diego thing when Tatis didn't slide into, on the pickoff attempt. It took them 3 months of him being terrible to say, oh, you know what, there's something wrong with him. But even Rizzo, 2 years ago when we had a chance, you could have got Freddie Freeman. You could have got Matt Olson, who I really
Yes.
wanted. He's got 42 home runs. He'd have 62 playing Yankee Stadium.
Yes.
Yeah, at the time, I wasn't upset that we re-signed Rizzo. I thought he was a solid third option. But like, it's becoming too much like that for the Yankees, settling for third options. That's never happened before. I know the luxury tax, but they still make the most money in baseball. And Hal doesn't care because Hal's got 42,000 people in the crowd every night. But Hal's going to get a rude awakening because the last 3 times we didn't make the playoffs, there was always something happening in terms of that was drawing people to the ballpark. In 08, we had the last year Yankee Stadium, place was packed every night. And then the last 2 times we didn't make the playoffs, it was Mariano's last year and Jeter's last year. That's not happening this year. And if we're still 6 games back of a wild card, in mid-September, the place is going to be a ghost town. Maybe that'll be the slap in the face to wake Hal up.
Yeah, well, keep in mind that the same money they gave to Rendon. I mean, what's the pitcher? Rodon.
Yeah.
Well, that's the same amount of money the Dodgers gave to Freddie Freeman. Just saying.
Yeah. I know.
Just saying. Well, other than Garrett Cole and Aaron Judge, defend one Yankees performance and name one pleasant surprise this season.
I mean, the tough to defend. I think Volpe gets a little too much criticism. Yeah, he was only batting .211, but he's a rookie, and I was happy that he made the team right off the bat. I thought that was a sign of things changing around here, but I think they ruined him a little bit. There's no shame in sending the guy to the minors for 2 or 3 weeks to fix his swing, especially when his old minor league teammate fixed it by helped fix it with the what was it, Austin Wells, right? He ran into Austin Wells during the whole thing, and he said, go back to doing this.
He had Austin Wells over for dinner, a nice little chicken parm dinner.
Oh, the chicken parm, that's right, yeah. Yeah. So
chicken parm cures everything.
Yeah, it really does. Jeter loved chicken parm. I wish Volpe, played more like Jeter, but I think Volpe could be a player.
I think he's a second baseman.
He could. I mean, he's been okay. Short. He doesn't have the greatest arm in the world. Yeah, he might be a second baseman down the road.
It's the range for me.
Yeah.
And his instincts. He just doesn't charge the ball and attack it like you need to at shortstop. His timing seems more fit for second base. Just me saying.
It does. And listen, Gleyber's one of the few guys that's hit well this year, although he's the stupidest base runner I've ever seen. And can we just sit him once to say hey bud, you can't. Did you see the play the other day? It was a ground. He's on second with 1 out. There's a ground ball to third base. It hit the third base bad, but the third base was there, and he tagged him out. I was like, how do you run when the ball is at third base? I don't think he understands. I think he thinks everything's a force. I honestly think he doesn't understand. You don't have to run sometimes. But
quite possible.
Yeah. But why should he? Because he makes a mistake. Aaron Boone says it's okay. He's playing hard, which he doesn't play hard. But another guy who's been solid, except for his last performance, I think Clark Schmidt. I think they didn't know if he was a starter or reliever. He got off to a shaky start, but he's been very solid. I think you can peg him in, as a number 4 going on the rest of his career with, if you get some help around him. But there's really no bright spots. I'm kind of just, reaching out of thin air here.
I mean, there's a lot of, you can definitely grasp at straws with this team. The fact that you could even consider a guy like IKF. That tells you how far the rest of the Yankees have kind of fallen. The versatility of IKF, where think about utility players in the past, right? Luis Sojo, Clay Bellinger,
right.
They all fit a role, but IKF is being lionized for being a utility infielder and utility outfielder. He's filling a role, but he's a mythical folk hero at this point, to the point where Yankee fans are considering, do we want to give him an extension at the end of the year as a reward? What is going on here?
That's how ridiculous it's getting. And listen, IKF, he has done a great job, and he's played wherever they asked him to. He gets some big hits. Yeah, like you said, he's a utility guy. That's what he is. And he on a good team, he could be a very valuable weapon. Especially if you ever make the playoffs. He's got speed. He can play everywhere. But he's played center field a lot this year. He's not a center fielder. We went into the season with you knew Hicks was terrible or hurt. You figured you don't want Stanton playing the outfield. And even though Judge's injury was kind of a freak injury, you expect Judge to spend at least one stint on the DL. They went in with, and Bader's I like Bader, but he's always hurt too. They went in with no options. During the course of 162 games, guys like the Jake Bowers and the Billy McKinneys, they have to step up and they have to play okay. But that's in a small window. You're relying on we've been relying on these guys for months. That's not a big league baseball team. Never mind with the highest payroll in the league.
Franchy Cordero cracked the opening day roster. That's all you need to know.
Yeah,
about
exactly.
That.
Yeah,
Outfield's a problem.
It's a huge problem. If you take Aaron Judge and Garrett Cole off this team, I mean, we're already in last place. I don't know how much worse it can get, but we're like, we're like the Royals. Like we'd be awful.
Harrison Bader is playing center field for the New York Yankees. That's all I have to say.
I mean,
He'll be back.
He'll
be back.
He'll be back. He's a solid hitter and he's a very good fielder. If you have Aaron Judge in right field and another big time guy in left field, yeah, you can live with Bader in center field. But he's got Billy McKinney and Franchy Cordero, and it's absurd.
The immortal Willie Calhoun. I forgot about him.
Willie Calhoun, the immortal Willie Calhoun. Yeah.
So
Willie was my Uber driver to work today, I think. He was a pretty good driver. I give him credit.
You gave him 5 stars?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So a hypothetical situation, you're hired to replace Cashman as GM, and Hal says you can only make 3 moves. What are your priorities? How you fixing this team with 3 moves?
I think one, you have to. I know analytics is everywhere. I think you either have to get a better analytics department or kind of maybe move away from it a little bit, because I just think like the analytics is telling you that lefties aren't a big deal. Yeah, but you're at Yankee Stadium. You know what I mean? You need big time lefties. It's I mean, if one of the moves would ask Hal to sell the team, but we know that's not going to happen. You have to make a decision. Are you going to be the Yankees? Are you going to try to spend? Are you going to, whether you can get them or not, are you going to throw all the money in the world at Ohtani or Juan Soto? Or if you're not, and you want to go a different direction, then develop your guys better. Play the kids. You know, if you're going to wait for Dominguez, you know, right? Like, and now I got like it's just very frustrating, guys. As you can tell in my voice.
It's completely foreign territory for contemporary Yankee fans. You know, like you have to really consider like that the stick Michael Bob Watson model really spoiled the mid to late '90s Yankee fans.
Yeah, we're absolutely spoiled.
And that's the other thing. That's why it's mind-boggling to me that Cashman gets a break. He didn't build those teams. He got Bob Watson coffee. Like people seem to forget that. Yeah. But I'm surprised that you didn't mention possibly moving Stanton. Like
I wanted to move Stanton for years, and I mean he's got a no trade. He's a guy. He turned down the trade. He turned down the Cardinals a couple years ago when he was with Miami. Like, who doesn't want to play in St. Louis? It's renowned as the best baseball town in the world. Now with only a couple years left in his contract, maybe you can move him, because that's when people at the trade deadline, when they were jokingly saying, "Oh, you can get Ohtani." Well, you can't have Ohtani and Stanton on the same team because they don't play the outfield.
Right.
Like Ohtani's capable of it, but you don't want him getting hurt if he's pitching.
Mm-hmm.
But I would love to try to find somebody to take Stanton's money. When we got him a couple years ago, people were excited. I wasn't. I said, okay, yeah, he's a good player, but we have Aaron Judge. I wanted to wait a year and sign Bryce Harper. I mean, I know Bryce has been hurt last year, but he'd be a much better fit on this team. I mean, Stan has.
They didn't even call him. They didn't even call him, Danny. They didn't even call Bryce Harper.
I know,
and he wanted them to call him.
Yeah, of course.
He wanted to talk. He knew it might not be possible, but he wanted the phone call.
Yeah.
And didn't even call the guy. Oof.
Yeah.
Oof.
George is. We all know that.
And I don't know what they're waiting for to bring this kid up. Was it Pariah or
Pariah? Yeah.
What are you waiting for?
Right. Especially
what the fuck are you waiting for?
That's the only. You want to get people in the stadium in September? That's one way to do it.
Peraza, Pereira.
How about you want to make the playoffs or not? What are you waiting for?
Yeah. Here's a guy, Florial. They told us about. We signed him when he was 16. You heard about him for 5 or 6 years. He would come up in spurts. He never really hit, but I don't think they ever really gave him a big chance. But now he's in the minors tearing it up. And they're so worried about ruining his trade value by calling him up. You need to do a better job of evaluating your own talent and knowing when to move them.
Oh, you mean like how they ruined Clint Frazier's career?
What about Miguel Andujar?
Miguel Andujar had 50 doubles his rookie year. A couple years ago when, the Astros got Cole and when they got Verlander, you don't want to give these guys up. And then you ruined them. Deivi Garcia, we heard about Deivi Garcia for years. He came up, he started a playoff game. He gave up. He struck out the side, gave up a solo shot, and then they took him out for Jay Happ, which was the stupidest move ever to try to fool them. They're going to have all the lefties in the lineup. And they never told Deivi Garcia what they're doing. So this kid went thinking like, oh man, I gave him a home run, they took me out, like I'm bad. I think it ruined his psyche. They released him.
No, now he's on the White Sox. Yeah, he's bad.
Yeah.
Everson has a 926 OPS. Can I interest you in that for August?
Yeah. It's mind-boggling.
Dude, call them all up. Call Wells up. Call all the pitchers up. Like everybody. Everybody.
Right. We did this in 2016. We called up Judge. We called up these guys, Sanchez, and they showed something. And then we were back to being a contender within a year. And then we fired Joe Girardi because he was too tough on Gary Sanchez. Yeah, well, Gary Sanchez needed a kick in the ass. I think we all knew that. Then they bring in Boone, who's singing Kumbaya in the clubhouse, and that hasn't worked well.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's getting very close to being football season for both New York teams. So,
Thank the good Lord for that.
That's the one thing that we can all look forward to. Yep. But we're roughly 4 weeks away from the start of the NFL season. So let's talk some Big Blue. The Giants go into the season with a playoff appearance under their belt from last year. And with that comes increased expectations. They draw the Cowboys in Week 1, seemingly as per usual. Walk us through the Giants' Week 1 matchup against the Cowboys and give us those keys to victory.
Well, we need to show up Week 1. You hate to put too much bearing on one game, but our schedule is very tough, especially the first 9 games. You want to show you're improved and you're a legit playoff contender, which I think we are. You have to go out and beat the Cowboys. The Cowboys are one of those fluky teams. There's going to be 3 to 4 games a year where they look like the best team in the league, and Dak's looking great, putting up points. There's going to be 3 to 4 where Dak looks like he shouldn't be in the league, and then they're going to be average the rest of the time. You just hope Week 1 is one of those weeks for Dak where he's throwing to the guys, on defense, which he does a lot. I think this year, I'm very excited about the offense. Daniel Jones finally has a little continuity in the same system 2 years in a row. I think he really was taking giant steps last year towards the end of the year. The Colt game, the Viking game, we got our asses kicked by Philly, I understand. But he's got some more weapons. The key is going to be, as it always is, the offensive line. A guy like Micah Parsons can wreck the game. And if he gets to Daniel Jones early, it could look like Daniel Jones from a couple of years ago. So we need to protect him. I think we can with Andrew Thomas is an all-pro level. I think Evan Neal take a meaningful step in the second year. Yeah, John Michael Schmitz, the rookie, everybody's raving about him. If he can step in as a rookie and play well, I think we have a very good offensive line. And on the end of the ball, you got to get to Dak. You got to pressure him. And I think with our pass rush, we're certainly capable of doing that.
Yeah, I think it's definitely within the realm of possibility. And then X McKinney and Dory Jackson just have to be waiting on those picks because they're coming.
Yep,
That's the beauty part about Dak Prescott. That train's never late.
No.
But so who, in your mind, who will be the most valuable Giant this season, not named Daniel Jones or Saquon Barkley? So who is that breakout star for you?
Well, obviously the Waller pickup is huge because when he is healthy, I mean, he's uncoverable. He's a freak, and that's what all the Giants are saying so far in camp. So he's a very important part. I think, akin to that, I think the breakout star might be Daniel Bellinger, who I loved last year, and I thought he was on his way to having an excellent rookie year until he got poked in the eye. I think with Waller, even though Waller's probably going to line up, in the slot or outside sometimes, I think in 2 tight end sets, I think Daniel Bellinger could be huge. Bobby O'Perry, the guy we picked up from the Colts, he's the best linebacker we have. I think our defense was good last year. Our linebackers were borderline disgraceful. I mean, just had nobody. So Jared Davis and Jalen Smith. I mean, these guys at one point might have been good, but not good anymore. The Colts, when we killed the Colts last year, and he was the only guy in the field making plays for them. And I remember thinking, like, oh man, he gets overshadowed a little bit with Darius Leonard, right? Is that the guy from the Colts? Yeah, I think he gets overshadowed by Leonard a little bit. And you mentioned before McKinney. I think McKinney's second year in Wink's system. I think Wink knows how to use him now, and I expect big things from Xavier McKinney. Big plays. I think a Pro Bowl year from McKinney.
Nice. Yeah, no, that's definitely, I mean, playing off of Dory Jackson, people might, kind of go away from that, and he'll definitely get a chance to shine. Like, I'm really looking at a guy like Jalen Hyatt. Like, I think he's got some speed, he's got some burn, and that kid can definitely stand out in a wide receiver, a wide receiver needy organization like the Giants. Like they have Slayton, they got another year of Shep, but Hyatt I think really can, if he can stay on the field and make some plays, I think he'll be a welcome addition.
Absolutely, and the knock on him was, he's not the best route runner. I mean, he'll improve that as the career goes on. But if you can outrun everybody, then you don't have to worry about running routes. And like you said, he's a blazer. He makes it look easy. So he's like deceptive, where he looks like he's just going nice and easy, and all of a sudden he's blowing past guys, which I think is to be very important.
No, very true. You know who was an okay route runner? Randy Moss.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'd say he's pretty good at that.
Yeah.
But
is that why he's wearing 84 Hyatt? Is that gonna be Moss-esque?
That could be the case. We'll call it Hyatt U.
So then put some straight cash, homie, on Jalen Hyatt winning Rookie of the Year then.
As long as he doesn't moon anybody, I am good with that. We'll get you out of here on this one, brother. We know that football games are won in the trenches. So who will be the most important offensive and defensive lineman this season besides Andrew Thomas and Leonard Williams?
I think on the offensive side of the ball, you don't want to put too much pressure on a rookie, but it's Schmitz at center. If he can come in and anchor that offensive line, it'll be a huge help. If you have two good tackles and a good center, you can get away with having below average guards, which I mean, hopefully it's not that's not the case, but I think it might be. So definitely Schmitz on the offensive side of the ball. Defensive side, you want Ojulari to stay healthy because he's a force, but I really think it's Thibodeau. I mean, Thibodeau he's on the way to becoming a superstar, I believe. He had especially late in the year, he was really showing the type of presence he can be. The Commanders game, the Washington game, he wrecked the game. He was all over the place, scored a touchdown. And I think Wink loves him. He's got the knock on him in college was he had that college jog. He doesn't hustle. I didn't see that at all. He's got a motor on him. He's all over the field. He plays the run. He does whatever Wink wants. So I think Thibodeau will be the breakout star there and most important guy on defense.
And they're going to need him, because Leonard Williams is going to get doubled. He's going to be the focus, but Kayvon Thibodeau definitely has what it takes to be a stud. And you know who's a stud? Danny Butler, the member of the in crowd. Lad, wonderful job as per usual. You got anything going on at Tubby, brother? Like, what's up?
We have trivia every Tuesday, karaoke every Thursday, brunch Saturday and Sunday. A couple months ago, I was looking forward to a very busy October with both baseball teams playing deep into the fall, but obviously that's out.
That's completely out.
Yeah, but we'll just switch our attention to football Sundays now, and hopefully our two football teams can pick up the slack.
Hopefully, from your lips to God's ears. So, Danny Butler, a member of the in-crowd, tried and true. And if you want to get into the action, if you want to become a member of the in-crowd, hit us up, faderoutemail@gmail.com, or slide in those DMs on IG at FadeRoutePodcast or on X at FadeRouteDNZ. Danny Butler, pleasure as always, and we will definitely have you on again soon, brother.
Pleasure's mine, guys. Thank you so much. All the best.
Thanks for listening to this episode of our podcast. If you like what you heard and want to hear more, be sure to like and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. Rate us 5 stars, leave us a review, turn on subscription notifications, and tell your friends. Spread the word, spread it wide.